What's crazy about this tank is the mix between its tank destroyer gun when it comes to the alpha damage and the mobility of a light tank, and the mix of both is just quite enjoyable. It's not necessarily a tank with which you're gonna have incredible damage per game, except if you're a good player, but at least it's hilarious to play with. And I feel like sometimes when we dive into what a tank is supposed to do or supposed to feel like, a lot of people are gonna throw away the fun factor in order for them to get a tank that is quite useful on the battlefield. I get that when you're playing competitive, but when you just want to have fun, when you're playing the game just, you know, to relax, why should you bother doing such things? And the Sheridan is perfect because not only is it efficient, but at the same time, it's just great to play with it. For example, here, in the first 40 seconds of the battle, we already managed to get ourselves more than 1000 damage, and this is what the Sheridan is all about. And another thing I forgot to mention about it is the gun depression. In this game, when you have gun depression, you're key, because having gun depression allows you to play from pretty much every single angle of the map. And the Sheridan is no exception. Oh, glorious HE on the ass of that heavy right there. And as you can see, having some gun depression will allow you to play more effectively on pretty much every single map this game has to offer. Ouch, this one hurt. And do you think that we're gonna see someone here? I don't think so. Let's maybe try to get the BZ once again. If he shows himself. Try the blind shot there. Don't know if it went through. All right, let's keep moving. So yeah, definitely the Sheridan, not only is it a great tank to grind in 2025, but it's also one of my most played tanks ever, and for good reasons. This thing is simply awesome because of how crazy it is. And when you have the possibility of snapping some HE like I'm about to do on that 50B, oh my gosh, is it something you're gonna enjoy, boys. And you're gonna enjoy it quite a lot. Do you think that we can snap another HE shell on that guy, or? I think so. He's probably gonna reload before, isn't he? Oh man, just take a look at that. Even with the... Oh, let's hide, let's hide. Ooh, I was lucky on this one. 728 damage, alpha damage, knowing that this guy had the thing that allows you to decrease by 20% the sandbags your damage taken. That's incredible. Ooh, this is crazy. Look at this, 4,500 damage without even trying. That's what I'm calling a great tank in the making. And the cool thing about the Sheridan is that it has been around for many years and Wargaming never tried to actually nerf it, which implies that they probably think it's balanced, which... Sorry about that. Which in my opinion is kind of true, because when you dive into the abilities of the Sheridan, this thing is not really broken. It's only broken when you know how to play it. And as the vast majority of players don't know how to play it, you should be fine. So yeah, the Sheridan is definitely a tank you want to go for if you are experienced, if you want to have some fun, and if you like to inflict big damages. That being said, let's roll to the second tank. You want to know what combines fun and efficiency the same as the Sheridan, but in a better way, or at least in a more sustainable way? The E50M. This thing is just deadly because in my opinion, it's definitely the king of all tier 10 mediums. And the cool thing is you can have it totally for free. And this is what is just insane about the 50M. You combine everything you'd expect from a good tank. Armor, incredible gun accuracy, and most importantly, the possibility to bounce everything. Of course, sometimes you're gonna get trolled, like it was the case here with the TVP, but to be fair with you, you're gonna get used to it pretty easily. Can we snap a shell on that guy real quick? Yes, we can. What I like about the E50M is its ability at snapshotting, because you don't need to have your fully focus to be able to snap your shells in. Usually, you go out of your cover, you shoot straight in, and if you're lucky enough, your shell will go exactly where you were aiming. Now, of course, it still has a downside. Due to its heaviness, you are not the fastest medium ever. But when the tank is launched, you should be safe and you should be able to go where you need to be in no time. Do you think that we have the possibility of doing something on this side, or did I fucked up by going on this one? That's a good question. Can we maybe... Oh, whoa. Yeah, I'm gonna take a shot from that, guaranteed. Yeah, I knew that. Something I forgot to mention about the E50M on top of that is that you're equipped with sandbags, which means that you can effectively increase your sustainability on the terrain because you will take less damage for 20 seconds. Unfortunately, I'm not necessarily too much used to it, which means that I'm not using it as much as I should, because for example, at the beginning of the game, I should have used it. But regardless, you should still do fine and well if you are not using the sandbags. Oh shit, I didn't see that guy. Yeah, now sandbags are no longer worth it. You see, talking about not using it wisely, we are exactly in the theme right now. Okay, let's try to cook something on that yak, but before we gotta kill the TVP that just died. That's awesome. We gotta find the M6yo, obviously. Oh, there we go. Thanks for coming, man. You can come back to the garage. On top of that, when you're using adrenaline, you have actually an insane DPM with the 50M. And of course, I had to get killed by the Yak Panzai 100 camping in the back. You can't imagine how much I hate tank destroyers. No, camping tank destroyers. But yeah, that's how it is. Not everyone knows how to play tank destroyers without camping, right? A tank that is going to be a surprise for most of you, the FV4202, the British tier 10 medium tank. No, it's not efficient. No, it doesn't have a crazy mobility. It doesn't even have good armor, but it has something very special. It's gun. Equipped with HESH shells, you have a crazy DPM, and not only is the DPM good, it's also an hilarious tank to play with because of your HESH shell. It's one of the few mediums at tier 10 that will be able to inflict around 3 or even 400 or 500 damage to its opponent regularly because of those crazy shells. But of course, it comes to a price. And the price to pay is kind of severe because it's basically not having penetration and instead having more alpha damage. So it's a choice to make, but in my opinion, this is definitely a great choice to make actually, because at least you're gonna have some fun. Look at this, for example. It's one of the few tanks with which you can inflict 450 on the side of a Grand Wagon in 7.3 seconds. Now, of course, it's not the greatest tank when you're facing opponents, because you're not supposed to face anyone with this tank. You're supposed to be the guy that nobody sees and that can shot at pretty much everything. And the problem is, for example, and especially in the situation I'm in right now, when you have people rushing through, it becomes difficult for you. But if you manage to do it properly, you should be fine. Okay, Evie, can you just get out of here? Thank you. Do you think I'm gonna be able to kill the Grand Wagon because my top alpha damage is 550 actually? I don't think it's gonna be the case, but we never know. Let me show you the power of the tank we're playing right now, if it's possible. For that, I need my teammates to kind of help me, which seems like they don't want to. Ooh, 437 alpha damage. This is lovely. But keep in mind that, same as the Sheridan, the FV4202 is probably, in my opinion, one of the hardest tanks to master and to be able to play correctly. And you need to keep that into consideration while trying to grind it. And on top of that, the whole grind of the tank is definitely painful. You're not gonna have fun while trying to get your hands on this thing. Okay, can the T123 go in? That would be perfect, so I can circle the E100. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to track him down, and I failed miserably. Very nice. Yeah, I'm not gonna go in because I feel like he's probably gonna try to kill me. You see, there are some frustrating points about the FV4202. Mostly the fact that you do not have the possibility of penetrating such targets without using gold shell, and your gold shell having poor penetration, they will not allow you to do anything. But on the other hand, when you see the ass of such high heavy tanks like the Super Conqueror, you do your job greatly. And just like that, the cherry on top, let's kill that fella with our 10 degrees of gun depression that you at least have for yourself. Bonus point, incredible camouflage on the FV4202 Legendary. I just love it. So, number 4 on this list, the Grand Wagon Tier 10 European Heavy Tank. This tank is here for one simple reason. The Grand Wagon is the master in hull down, which is the technique by which you hide the lower part of the hull, or pretty much all your hull, and only show your turret. Equipped with 12 degrees of gun depression, making it versatile on pretty much every single terrain this game has to offer, the Grand Wagon also has an insane turret armor, which means that when you combine both and manage to get yourself into a position from which you can only show your turret to your opponents, you are extremely fine and you should not struggle at all bouncing everything. And this is what is truly lovely about that tank. One thing that I'm not a big fan of, the auto-reloading system of the Grand Wagon, but Wargaming buffed it recently and nowadays it's pretty decent. Of course, it's not as great when it comes to the DPM as a T125 or a T95A6, for example, but it does the job, and the bursting ability you have by unleashing your 3 shells makes it really hilarious to play with. But keep in mind that you're better off playing with the 2 shells, the 2 first shells, rather than using the 3rd, which is just a one you need to use in case of emergency. Another thing about the Wagon, even if you do not have the possibility of playing it in all down, you still have a great armor profile. And even if no, you're not gonna be able to bounce everything you encounter, except if you're in all down, it's still quite correct and will do the job in many situations. Now, when it comes to the mobility, there is something great about this tank, and it's a must-have. You need to equip that tank with the speed boost and the special one, the improved engine speed boost, because this is what will allow you to get where you need to be in no time. Okay, can I penetrate that E100? Yes, I can. Now, I gotta be careful because I'm reloading. Not even applying my own advice and shooting the third shell. That's terrible. Do you think that he's gonna kill me? Yes, he is. He's not gonna kill me, but he's probably gonna penetrate, yeah. He would have bounced if it was not for me hiding my turret, but, you know, you can't do that all the time, right? Let's see if we have the possibility of killing the entirety of that heavy before he reloads. I think so. And just like that, because I'm not gonna bother trying to get the projectile, we get ourselves nearly 4,000 damage. Wagon is a tank you need to have, especially if you're a new player, so consider it. And number 5 on that list, the Object 263. It's probably gonna be a surprise for most of you, but let me explain before judging. This tank is on the list for 3 reasons. Number 1, the gun. 460 alpha damage for 7.5 seconds of reload is just insane. Number 2, the armor. Wargaming buffed the gun mantlet, which was the main weak spot of the 263, and right now you can bounce pretty much everything as long as you hide the lower part of your hull. Number 3, overall, its mobility and turn speed abilities. I know a lot of you are probably gonna get triggered by the fact that this tank is not equipped with any turrets. But is it really a problem when you can turn as fast as a medium? I don't think so. That being said, it's time for us to show the 260 why it shouldn't be on that side of the map ever again. So there we go. We're gonna use some adrenaline. We're probably gonna take a couple of shots there. I'm gonna try to maybe block him out of the way, but I don't think it's gonna work like that. You know what? We're not gonna bother. We're gonna face the heavy 183. Of course, the 263 is not only great stats. There is something that is really upsetting about it, which is the gun depression that you need to adapt to. And the problem is, most of you will not like the 263 until you manage to tame its gun depression. And taming its gun depression literally means finding the right positions on every single map on which you are supposed to play with this tank. Because as you can see, when you're doing so, you are doing just a godly amount of damages, and the heavy 183 can't even manage to penetrate me. And in 1.5 minutes, we already did 3.3 thousand damage. And it's gonna keep going because that port 752 is reloading. And yeah, the 263 is just a blessing to have in your team when the guy using it knows how to use it. Oh, are we gonna get cooked by Wagon? Looks like it. Waffen F10, the kind of tank I will never be able to acquire. But that's great. We finished by getting killed by the most meta tank right now, and I think it's kind of a great irony to see that, because we're playing with regular tanks against medium, collector and premium tanks that are overall way better. And I will tell you something harmful, but that's the truth. If you really want to have the most effective tanks you can acquire at tier 10, grab your wallet, because that's how it works now.